It is the friendliest question a police officer will ever ask you on the side of the road. Where are you headed tonight? 5 words, said with a half smile. And it is the single most dangerous sentence that will ever come through your driver's side window. Because that question is not small talk. It is the first brick in a wall the officer is quietly building around you. And by the time you realize the wall is there, you are already inside it. Tonight, I'm going to show you exactly how that question works, the law that makes your answer admissible in court against you, and the one calm reply that closes the entire game before it begins. If you want to keep learning the things the system hopes you never figure out, hit subscribe. It is free, and it is the cheapest insurance policy you will ever own. The stop. Let us call him Marcus. Marcus is 29 years old. He works a normal job. He has never been arrested in his life. He has never even had a speeding ticket. On the night this happened, he was driving back from a friend's apartment across town where he had stopped for 45 minutes to drop off a borrowed power drill. He was on his way home. Nothing in his car was illegal. Nothing in his pocket was illegal. Nothing in his history was illegal. He was, by every measure that should matter, the most innocent driver on the road that night. He saw the lights at 10:42 p.m. He pulled over the way he had been taught, hands visible, window down, engine off. The officer walked up, did the standard greeting, asked for license and registration. Marcus handed them over, and then, just as the officer was about to turn back toward his cruiser, he paused, leaned in slightly, and asked the question, "So where are you headed tonight?" Marcus, like almost every human being who has ever heard those words, answered. He said he was coming from a friend's place across town and was heading home. Polite, honest, cooperative, the kind of answer your mother would have wanted you to give. And in that exact moment, without knowing it, Marcus had just handed the officer the first piece of evidence in a case that did not even exist yet. Why that question is not a question? Here's what most drivers do not understand about police work, and you need to understand it tonight because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. A trained officer is not asking that question because he wants to know your evening plans. He does not care about your evening plans. He is asking that question for 3 very specific reasons, and all 3 of them are working against you the second you open your mouth. The first reason is what officers call narrative building. Every answer you give creates a timeline. A timeline is something that can be checked. A timeline is something that can be broken. If you say you are coming from a friend's house and your phone location data later shows you were somewhere else, that contradiction becomes the centerpiece of a probable cause argument. The officer does not need to prove you lied tonight. He only needs to write down your answer tonight so it can be compared to other facts later. The truth of your answer does not matter. The existence of your answer is what matters. The second reason is what officers call behavioral baseline reading. The officer is watching how you answer far more carefully than he is listening to what you answer. He is watching whether your eyes shift. He is watching whether you swallow. He is watching whether your hands move toward the center console while you talk. He is watching whether your story takes too long to come out or comes out too fast, or contains too many details, or contains too few. None of these signals are proof of anything in the real world, but all of them are admissible in court as the officer's training and experience observations. Every word you speak is a chance for him to claim he saw something he can use later. The third reason, and this is the one that hurts the most, is what the law calls voluntary statement creation. Under the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution, you have the right to remain silent, but that right only protects you from being forced to speak. It does not protect you when you choose to speak. The Supreme Court has been crystal clear on this for decades. Anything you say voluntarily on the side of the road, before you are arrested, before you are read your rights, is fair game in court. There is no Miranda warning yet. There is no lawyer yet. There is just you, a microphone on the officer's chest, and a recording that will be played back in a courtroom 6 months from now, while a prosecutor points at the screen and says, "Listen to what the defendant said in his own words." That is the trap. That is the entire trap. The friendly question, the honest answer, the recording, the timeline, the case, the 3 answers that end badly. Let me show you the 3 answers that drivers give to that question most often, and let me show you what each one does to them. Because if you were like most people, you have probably already given one of these answers in your life, and you got lucky. The next driver will not. The first bad answer is the over-explanation. The driver says, "Oh, I was just coming from my buddy's place. We were watching the game. I had one beer like 2 hours ago. I am totally fine." That driver just admitted to consuming alcohol. He did not have to. He was not asked. He volunteered for it. The officer's next sentence will be, "Sir, step out of the vehicle. Field sobriety test. Possible breathalyzer. Possible arrest." All because the driver thought honesty about a single beer would help him. It never does. The second bad answer is the inconsistent storyteller. The driver, who is nervous, gives one version of his evening to the first officer, and then a slightly different version to the second officer when backup arrives. Different timeline, different location, different friend's name. The officers will write down both versions. The prosecutor will read both versions. The jury will hear both versions. And the driver, who was telling the truth both times but rearranged the details under stress, now looks like a liar in court. The third bad answer is the volunteered destination. The driver says, "I am heading home on Elm Street, just past the gas station." That driver just gave the officer his home address without being asked. He just gave the officer permission, in a sense, to remember his face the next time a call goes out in that neighborhood. He just turned a one-time encounter into a permanent file entry. None of that was required. None of that was smart. All of it felt polite. What Marcus should have said. So back to Marcus. The officer asks, "Where are you headed tonight?" And here's what Marcus and you and every driver in America has the legal right to say instead. "Officer, I would rather not answer any questions tonight." That is it. That is the whole sentence. You are not refusing to identify yourself. You are not refusing to hand over your documents. You are not being rude. You are not being aggressive. You are simply calmly and lawfully exercising a right that the Constitution gave you the day you were born. The right to not be a witness against yourself. You can soften it if you want. You can say, "Officer, with respect, I would rather not answer any questions tonight." You can smile when you say it. You can keep your hands on the wheel while you say it. The words can be polite, but the position must be firm. Because the second you start answering one question, the officer is trained to ask another, and another, and another, until something useful comes out. And here's the part most people do not believe until they see it for themselves. When a driver clearly and calmly declines to answer questions, the average traffic stop gets shorter, not longer, because the officer's fishing expedition just hit a wall. He still has to write the ticket or issue the warning he originally pulled you over for. He still has to run your license. But the casual interrogation that was supposed to build his case for something bigger is over before it started. Most officers will move on. The ones who do not are now operating outside the lawful scope of the stop, and any evidence they gather from that point forward becomes legally challenged in court. Either way, you win. The final word. I want to leave you with one truth tonight. The Constitution of this country gave you the right to remain silent for a reason. Not because the people who wrote it hated the police, they did not. They wrote it because they had lived under governments where every question from a man in uniform was a trap, and every answer was a rope, and they wanted their grandchildren to never have to feel that. You are the grandchild. The right is yours, but a right you do not use is a right you do not have. Marcus did not know any of this. Marcus answered the friendly question with a friendly answer. And in his case, on that particular night, with that particular officer, it cost him 3 hours of his life on the side of a road while a K-9 unit was called, while his car was searched, while nothing was found, and while a small piece of his trust in the system quietly broke. He went home eventually. Many drivers in the same situation do not. The next time you see those lights in your rearview mirror, you will hear the question. You will hear it because every officer in this country is trained to ask it. And you will have a choice that Marcus did not know he had. You can talk and start building the case against yourself one polite sentence at a time. Or you can breathe, look the officer in the eye, and say the one calm line that the founders of this country wrote the Fifth Amendment to protect. Officer, I would rather not answer any questions tonight. That is your shield. That is your right. That is how you go home. Before you go, If you are still with me at this point in the video, it means you actually care about protecting yourself out there, and I want to say thank you for that. There are two small things you can do right now that cost you nothing and help more than you know. The first is to send this video to one person in your life who drives: a son, a daughter, a parent, a friend who works the night shift and is on the road when the world is quiet. The lesson you just learned does not belong to me. It belongs to everyone who needs it. Pass it on. The second is to subscribe to this channel if you have not already. Every week I break down another piece of the law that the average driver was never taught, in plain English, with real cases, so that the next time you find yourself on the side of a road with a flashlight in your face, you are not the one who panics. You are the one who knows. Hit subscribe, turn the bell on, and I will see you in the next lesson. Until then, keep your hands visible, keep your words few, and drive safe out there.